Good evening. We will now call the Committee of the Whole meeting Thursday, February 12th, 2008 at 5:30 p.m. We have a full council. Present with us is Councilman Nelson, Sierra, Vice Mayor Burgess, Councilwoman Lobos, McCormick, and I guess we don't have Ms. Waldman just yet. Thank you. January 29, 2008 minutes, tab 1. Now I'll entertain a motion for approval. I move. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, there is a correction on the minutes. On page number 3 at the top, it states, second sentence, page number 3 at the top in the minutes, Western Union could charge the customers $1 per transaction with a minimum payment of $25,000, should read $2,500.
Thank you. The minutes stand as corrected. All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item B, discussion on customer service code changes, utility deposits, tab 2. I move it.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Manager?
Mayor and Council, this is, again, a request or recommendation from staff that we change the code authorizing us the right, which is a key word there, the right, to review and increase utility deposits as necessary. Basically, what's behind this is that we have a deposit in our current code after 2 years where people have paid on time and have a good payment record. It is eligible for to be given back to the customer. However, this was also applied to commercial properties, and this turns out not to be a good thing in commercial properties, and it didn't differentiate that in the code. So what happens, you turn back a deposit to a commercial or business that may use anywhere from, not the normal residential amount, but anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000 a month. And what happens by the time, if they, and we've had a couple of these, that's what's brought it up, that if they default for whatever reason, it's almost 60 days, almost 2 months before we know that and are able to respond. And if they don't pay, then they leave and don't pay us. And the quantities that represents is a lot. For example, there was one company, a grocery store chain, that went into bankruptcy and owed us money, and that money that they owed us got tied up in the bankruptcy, and we haven't received payment yet. But we didn't have a deposit to fall back on to at least alleviate or mitigate the money that was owed us. So,
thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Mayor Bell, if I can just state, so this is my understanding that this will just give General Services the authorization to move forward with drafting an ordinance, right?
That's correct. And then the ordinance will actually state, as I understand it, and how we've looked at this and have written it, will give us the right to do this. It doesn't mandate the right to do this. And I think that what you get is you have this retroactive thought, and probably that's not going to be the case unless we have them having problems with payments. But for new companies that come in, this will probably go into effect pretty regularly, because we really need to protect ourselves, the companies that use a lot of electricity.
And then, of course, when that ordinance is drafted, it will come back before council anyway.
Yes, 2 readings.
Right.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, we use this format so that we didn't go through the time and trouble of drafting an ordinance and then having you say that you weren't interested. So we're sort of testing the water, and if you thought it was a good idea, we'll go ahead and draft the ordinance.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from council?
No.
All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you. Next item, 2, utility payment, tab 3.
Mayor,
The convenience charge.
yes.
Let me entertain a motion for approval.
I move it.
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Manager?
Mayor and Council, this is again a recommendation from staff that we be giving the right, again, reserve the right to charge a convenience charge for any customer who insists on making their utility payment in person at our location. As you know, this somewhat goes hand in hand with expanding our locations of where you can pay, and to reduce the cost of transactions that we have, because people are used to paying, and we give the opportunity for them to actually on a routine basis make their payments at customer service. We wanted to have the right, or reserve the right, to charge a $3 per transaction if we cannot, after advertising. Remember, there's a training period, or a period of up to 6 months of marketing and telling people, here's the places you need to go. We're not going to accept, payments here and that kind of thing on a normal basis. And that people who insist to come in and do that we'd have the right, or reserve the right, to charge a $3 convenience charge for coming in and paying cash when that's all they have. If they got a customer problem, then we handle that. And if as a result of solving the customer problem they have to make a payment, we can take the payment there. But otherwise, we are weaning off of taking these payments in person as a routine. It's just not effective for us.
You actually answered a question I was going to ask. What if the customer was there to handle a customer problem,
Right.
a complaint, or some type of an issue, and they pay while
We're not
they're
going to
there?
tell them you got to go somewhere else and pay. We're going to...
And I want to make sure that, I know that this is an area, this customer service area is where we have the biggest amount of complaints from the citizens, from the community, and this is an area we have to fix. And if this is one, I'm remiss, and I hate to charge anybody to take a payment, but I understand the high volume of payments and people that come in and just say, I don't have my bill, look it up. Look up my bill, this is my address, this is where I live. And I understand that that's costing us a lot of money and time, and to lesser able to handle the real complaints and the real issues. But I just want to make sure that we really are utilizing this. And I'm going to tell you, we are removing the reasons to say that we have customer service problems.
Absolutely.
So once cash is out, and once we've taken away the excuses for all the customer service problems, I'm just going to be assured that we're not going to have the customer service issues that we have today.
Well, this certainly takes the time and the interaction that we have there that we could put to doing real customer service rather than just collecting bills. And that's the idea, giving more people that we can put more resources to customer service, answering problems, calling people back, handling the problems that come up that don't get handled as quickly as we'd like them.
Any comments or questions from council?
Mayor Bell, I do have a comment.
Yes.
I do feel it's a little bit premature to be discussing this topic. I understand that we're trying to discourage people coming in through, but we have just passed the Western Union, the outsourcing of the cashing out, so we don't know yet if we're going to have customers that continue to insist, even though we've expanded the locations, that are going to still be a problem as far as taking up the time. So I don't agree with it at this time, because I think it's a little bit premature. I think that it's more appropriate if we go through Western Union and then get some numbers back to see how many customers have actually stopped coming to City Hall. And if it's still a problem, then I see the appropriateness of bringing this up to then discourage those to discontinue coming to City Hall.
What was your time frame on, this was supposed to be implemented, my understanding, following the 6 months?
Yes, this will be, and the reason we say reserve the right is for that very point that you're making. Let's see how it goes with the payments. Then if we continue to have people coming in ignoring, if it's convenient and it's habit, they're going to continue to do what they know and like to do for the most part, is what I believe. I think we'll get a chance to prove that. We'll open up the other sites. If they do not, just what Councilwoman Lobos had said, if they don't seem to be, we have this tool ready to go if they don't seem to be complying with the extra positions.
Deputy Manager Shahada?
Yes.
Mayor, council members, again, this is what Richard mentioned earlier. This is like giving us the green light, accepting the principle, and it's going to come back with an ordinance, and it would require 2 readings, and the effective date and all that stuff would be completely spelled out in the ordinance. And of course, you will see more information, more specific information to guide us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may, Councilman Lobos, I had the same exact concern as you did, bringing out both at the same time. And I was told by Mr. Ivy that this is going to be after we initiate the Western Union. So basically, we're just preparing ourselves if, just in case, we continue to have a problem with them coming. But I feel that it would be appropriate to do it now, and that way we don't have to go through the process and take an additional 6 months after.
And then also we can have, that could be part of the warning phase. Part of the warning phase of, to encourage the people to pay through Western Union and other sources. We can also have that advertised as well. So I think there might be some value to go ahead and approving it now as well.
Mayor Bosso, if I may add, I'd be more comfortable seeing in the future something that includes a timeline to see when this is going to be implemented, so that it doesn't read as if it's going to start now without seeing the effects of outsourcing the cash process to Western Union is.
Good point.
The 6 months, basically.
Well, yes, we're going to give 6 months before we even, with Western Union, to see how that's going. I think that's a good time frame right there before we consider. And I think what we can say is we'll come back to council, report how it's going, then council can tell me yay or nay.
Thank you. And we also have an ordinance that's going to have to come back before us for approval before this moves forward anyway. Okay. Any further comments or questions from council?
No.
Thank you all. As we say, all hearts are clear. All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you. The next item, RFP 200818, installation of red light cameras. Finally. Yay. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move with comments.
It's been properly moved.
Second.
And seconded. Mr. Manager?
I think Sheila had a question there, just real quick. No, you don't? Oh, okay. All right, I'll go. I'm sorry, Mayor.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Manager?
Okay. Of course, we've been working on this for some time, and we'll have some city ordinance drafting and to go along with this. We do know that currently they're up at the state. There's a proposed legislation on the use of red light cameras, and we'll see how that goes. We were in support of that last year. We'll be in support of that, I imagine, this year. That's up to council. But we did put out an RFP for the installation of red light cameras. We had 4 respondents. The committee met and graded out, we had a 3-person committee that graded out the proposals, and these are the results, with Traffic Packs coming in number 1, American Traffic Solutions coming in number 2. And so the recommendation is the number 1 selection.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to see this happening. Ms. Sierra, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, my comments come from, or my concerns come from the fact that the way that these different companies were scored were more based on opinion than by a rubric level. In other words, as the 3 people in the committee read the RFPs, they were giving scores based on their opinions and not so much a structured rubric for the scores. Do you understand? And have a really hard time saying that one company really won over the other when it was such a small margin as far as their actual score. So if there's no way of figuring out why this one got a 15 over a 25, etc., because there was no way of really structuring the score system, I'm having a really hard time accepting these as they're given.
Well, Ms. Sierra, thank you for the observation. I'm very comfortable in the process. Not only that, but there was a process that was done by this, and part of the process was viewing videos and the cameras, and I mean, I don't know whatever the process was, because I mean, when I first brought this to council, I had viewed at a Florida League of Cities conference, I had viewed this actually happening. I watched the cameras, I had watched the cars being viewed as they went through the red lights and on and on. So I think maybe that's just what you're seeing. But I mean, if maybe we'd like to hear from anybody from the bid committee. I'm quite comfortable. And actually, we had seen we had actually seen presentations from...
And I was here actually.
American Traffic
I'm
Solutions.
sorry to interrupt you. I was actually here at one of the two presentations. I don't remember which of the two companies I saw when I came to a council meeting once. And that was great because I got more information. I just, again, it's not that I don't even know who the people are that actually put the scores in, but if there would have been more of a rubric style for scoring, I would have felt more comfortable with the decision.
Yeah, I think maybe that comes to trusting your bid committee, and because this is what we see generally throughout the process is a bid committee that pretty much is experienced in trusting your bid committee. Mr. Mayor, is there anything?
I think Brian
went
there might have some comments.
Good evening. Although, are we getting a response on that? Although at first the review committee is given tally sheets or sheets to actually score off, when we actually open the meeting, we collect these from the evaluators. This is the first look at this. This basically is kind of, when the scores come in, they use this as the benchmark or where they're looking at. They also go into an open dialogue and conversation about it as well, in the end coming up with a full consensus. So what they were looking at here ultimately may not be the consensus at the end, but this is really what their individual studies were based on that. So it gives them kind of a starting point to look at that. When we end the meeting, we actually ask for a consensus based on the whole meeting as well. I think you had a copy of the audio as well on the meetings to outline that.
Mayor Bell? So you're saying that the bid committee, how many was in the bid committee?
There was 3. It was made up of Julio Barea, Randy Chong, and Sharik Kamali.
Okay. Would anybody from the bid committee like to address that at all? Would that make you alleviate some of your concerns? If
Yeah, and I didn't even want to know who it was, but that's fine. You know, there's it's a point. It's a 0.6 difference from one company to another,
right?
And we're making a determination on 0.6.
It has to be a starting point.
No, and I understand that. I just really needed to state that as not that I distrust the committee at all, but you know, coming from my teaching experience, you need to make sure that you know what you're using your score for. And I guess I'm bringing my personal experience into the score for an RFP.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. That's a good observation. Would anybody from the bid committee like to address Ms. Sierra?
Well, Mayor Bell, whenever I have the chance, it seems like some of the points that were scored higher than the other company that came in second place was a financial proposal. So I don't see how opinion would come into a financial proposal. I mean, there must be a difference in the financial proposal, so maybe you can address that.
Ms. Kamali?
Yes, good evening. I just want to say, as one of the reviewer, most of my weight came, the difference in my numbering was financial. The cost of the number one picked was lower, and therefore I give them a higher. And the other thing for me was if they had a local presence, and from the 4, there were 2 that they had local presence, so therefore
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Half of it.
Mainly it was the cost of the proposal made the difference for me.
Okay.
And the other thing that really made the difference was the local presence between the packages. So overall, I look at the references, local presence, you know, the capability, and the cost.
Thank you.
I could add also to that, in the course of the conversations that went through during the decision making, we all had different opinions about different aspects of each company. The idea was to converse and try to, like Brian was stating, try to come up with a consensus in terms of who was the winner of the bid. My scores were different than Sherry's and different than Randy's, so we're all different. But when we sit down, the idea is to sort of like bring up our concerns, and if they're answered, then yes, that impacts how we look at each individual proposal. And at the end, it did come down to the cost,
and that was the final, because looking at all the other aspects, we could see good points and, on each one of the firms, and it turned out that at the end, we could recommend each one, but looking at the financial, that was what made the difference.
Thank you. Captain Tom?
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I researched all four companies, and what I did find were the two companies, Traffipax and ATS, were the only ones established in Florida. I called the references for both of them, and both police chiefs gave nothing but positive for both firms. In the end, it was a pure financial who had what I thought was the better deal for the city. They're two good companies. Unfortunately, one of them has to come, I can't place them both evenly. One of them would still be stuck in the committee. And my outlook on it was that Traffipax had the better financial proposal for the city, making it my choice for number one.
Thank you, Captain. Mr.
Mayor, I think we have representatives here that will want to speak whenever you're ready.
Sure, certainly.
Maybe I have a question too.
Oh, yes, Ms. Waltman, go ahead.
Brian, did you want to say something? He was over with us.
I just did want to mention one thing. We were fortunate enough to actually have Traffipax and ATS at the review committee, and the committee actually did have questions that they could refer back to both companies. So that was very good that they actually asked both questions to both companies in the same light and got responses back to help their evaluation process.
So, Brian, they were both physically present, you're saying?
Well, they were both physically present at that meeting. It was an open public meeting, and so any of the four respondents could have showed up. ATS and Traffipax took it upon themselves to make sure that they were there. And since the committee did have some questions, it was convenient enough for the committee to ask the questions, so they actually got immediate answers on these.
Thank you, Brian. Ms. Waldman.
Thank you. Under the budgetary impact, I've never seen a phrase that says cost neutral to the city. Could one of you on the committee explain that to me?
Mayor Bell, if I may, please first address Councilwoman Waldman, because that started with the Finance Committee. And it was, Mr. Shahada, can you explain why we went from none to that phrase, please?
Actually, the Mayor and Council, the way we looked at it is revenue neutral. Whatever revenues are going to be coming from the fines is going to be offset by expenses on the other side by reviewing the tapes and all that stuff. And it's in our view, it's going to be, initially was none, but really the real fact is going to be some revenue and going to be expenses, and in our view it's going to be equal on that side.
So, when you say cost neutral to the city, my math, I agree with Ms. Sierra, it's so close. Until the financial proposal came into effect, ATS had a total of 190, and Traffipax had a total of 178. Then the financial proposal, so you're telling me that the financial proposal included what the city would reap as benefits? Was that all included in the financial proposal? Because if you're basing this strictly on the financial proposal, which it looks as if we are, because you're in agreement pretty much across the board, with the exception that ATS came in first, then I would like to see a presentation from each telling us how this is going to benefit the city, each one of them. And that's my personal opinion.
Now, what we're going to do is we had the process. This is a lengthy process. We've had the bid committee. We've had a recommendation. I will be happy to hear from Mr. Hawkins. Right, you're with American Traffic Solutions, correct?
Well, it is.
So you wanted to address us tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I believe there's a...
I wasn't fully finished. I'm sorry. I just think I'm entitled to my opinion, and my opinion is, personally, I would like to see a presentation. Now, maybe I can meet with each one of you separately. Is Traffipax here?
maybe I can meet with each one of you separately before the vote on Tuesday night myself, if I'm the only one that wants to have a presentation. So, but thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a technical issue here. We still are in a cone of silence until you so it does limit any. Yeah.
Has to be public.
Is that right?
Once the manager's recommendation has been issued, the cone of silence is then lifted. And the manager, you've made a recommendation here.
So I could meet with them?
Talk to Brian, will you? Give me the right stoke food there.
Madam Mayor?
I have no problem with hearing from both American Traffic Solutions and Traffic Packs this evening, but we are going to move this forward tonight. So one way or the other, it's going to be moved forward to the council meeting. And Councilwoman Waldman, you certainly can meet with anybody that you would like to meet. Absolutely, that's within your purview. But we will move this forward tonight. We had issues in the past with this item, and I'm not going to have this belabored any longer. So I tell you what, Mr. Hawkins, if you're sitting there, why don't you go right ahead?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and members of the council. Congratulations to you and all the new members. Just historically, we started about 2.5 years ago, bringing this to the city manager. The president of our company, Jim Tubin, was down and made a presentation to the city manager, and we've gone on, and I know of your interest going up diligently to Tallahassee and trying to get this passed. First, I just want to say that this is a public safety issue. And if you believe it is a public safety issue, and you look at the score, if you look at the scores of systems capabilities, ATS ranked 21% higher than anyone else. If you look at quality and references, again, ATS ranked higher than anyone else. So if it is indeed a safety issue program, and we all know that there is revenue involved for the city and for any vendor who you choose. But if it's a traffic safety issue and you want to help the people that we're trying to help here, then I believe that you need to look at this in a little different manner. Whoever pointed it out, I believe it was Councilwoman Sierra, pointed out it's 0.6 difference. So if you look at our system and everything else that your selection committee looked at, we're much better. But there is a price differential at no cost to the city. We could start this program tomorrow. We could start it next week. We could have started it 6 months ago, and it would cost the city and the taxpayers of Homestead. And the reason I said Florida City, I'm sorry, they're choosing us tonight in Florida City, and that's why we're in different places here. But it will cost $0. There's no money at risk. It's a safety issue, and if it's a safety issue and one company is here on safety and another company is here, and you put it up but only 0.6% because of price, then I would think that it would be in the best interest of the council and the people who live in the city of Homestead for the council to see a side-by-side presentation. Why would one company be so much better why would their system be so much better?
Okay, Mr. Hawkins, thank you. You presented your case well. We have somebody from Traffic Packs. Yes, thank you.
Would you like me to go over? I'll go over.
Please.
First of all, Madam Mayor and members of the council, Mr. Manager, Mr. Attorney, thank you for choosing Traffic Packs. I know that it's been a long process. I think we started this, my first time down here addressing the council was last June or July, and I know Traffic Packs gave a presentation, ATS gave a presentation after that. I think Commissioner Hawkins makes a good point in terms of this is a public safety issue. I am a former police chief. I served with Miami-Dade Schools Police as the police chief for 4 years. Prior to that, I was with Miami-Dade County. I was with them for 28 years. I served here in Cutler Ridge for a number of years, which is bordering on the north. I will say that there has to be a time where when you put pen to paper, you have to make a decision. And I know that of the 6 or 7 companies that are in Florida, I think the 2 that are premium are here tonight and have been through this entire process. I know that there's going to be occasion when APS wins by a small percentage. There's going to be occasion when traffic packs wins by a small percentage. Such is the fairness of the vote, and I think that it's important for the council to stand behind the staff work that's already been done. Obviously, I would be biased in that, but I think that all of that has to be sort of taken into consideration when you make this kind of vote. All these kinds of processes, my experience, and I've been doing this for about a year, my experience is that it's always a very close vote, and it always seems to be the 2 companies that are going head-to-head as it turns out. So I would, obviously, I'm very in favor of the staff work that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from council? Any comments or questions council would like to ask?
I wasn't quite finished.
Mayor Bell, if I can just make one quick comment about staff. I look at the 3 names attached to this bid. Captain Chung, obviously he's with our police department, Ms. Kamali and Mr. Brown, and I am comfortable with their just with their referrals and the recommendations. So as far as the quality of what each of you have, your experience, your strength, what you brought to this table to make sure that it was a public safety issue, I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you, Ms. Lobos. I would concur with Ms. Lobos on that, as well as the fact that I think what we have here are 2 excellent companies, and I think that goes without saying. And I think that you're going to have times when you're going to be 6 points off or a sixth of a point off or whatever it is. But the bottom line is the process really has been quite lengthy. There has been the bid process. There has been the evaluation. We have 3 more than capable persons who reviewed the process, and I am very comfortable with staff's recommendation. And I actually saw presentations from both American Traffic Solutions and TraffiPax. Both of the companies are excellent. Didn't have a preference either way. I just wanted the process to be completed. Staff has done their work, and I'm very comfortable with staff's recommendation. So there has been a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions from council?
You didn't.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Nay.
And 1 nay. And the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, will we have a chance to address the council again at the...
I would prefer not, but, you know, I would prefer not. I think the
reason being, I wasn't, in all fairness, and I appreciate that you have a long night, but I wasn't finished, Madam Mayor.
Well, you had said the same thing like 3 times, so that's why I said thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, but, you know, I have a few things that I think that would be very...
Mr. Hawkins, I really do appreciate this, but the vote has been taken, the process is complete. It's not unusual to have a bidder that comes in second place be disgruntled. This just happened a few weeks ago again, but the process has taken place, and I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So thank you very much. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, cost recovery, tab 5. I move. It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Manager?
Mayor and Council, it's staff's recommendation that modifications to Section 2-500 cost recovery be made per the attached draft ordinance. Basically, we have for professional services, that's where we get our cost recovery for plan review and consultants that help us with land use issues, planners, and that we get a cost recovery on that to the city for their project that they're paid. However, some people don't pay, and just imagine that, and they don't pay on time. And at any rate, what this does is gives our cost recovery a little more teeth. It adds an interest rate to be charged. It also adds a deposit per project and a supplemental deposit. And the way that works is when you come in with your plans and there's a cost recovery issue, a deposit is made, and then as we pay out, as we go through the plan review and paying our bills, if it's not enough and the additional review is needed, and Sherry, jump on me if I'm misspeaking here, an additional review is needed, then supplemental deposit is going to be requested, so nobody gets ahead of us. In other words, we track this by project. And again, unpaid fees and costs that exist at the time of this modification process, and that are 30 days late can be enforced. And enforcement is stated as any manner available allowed by law. So we don't say exactly what that is because we have a number of ways to do that, to enforce it. Again, this helps us for costs that we have when developers come in to have their projects reviewed.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Finance Enterprise Committee, Councilwoman Lobos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Ivey?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can I...
I'll move it.
I'll second. Trying to keep up with this laptop. Thank you. Mr. Ivey?
Councilwoman Lobos, Mayor and Council, staff's recommendation that we amend the ordinance as attached regarding charges for street lighting be adopted. And the change reflects around Dade County. We provide street lighting in Dade County because part of our service area for electric utility is in Dade County, unincorporated Dade County. And they have changed their standard. They use normally an open bottom light street light at 100 watts. They have changed it to go to 150. That'll be their standard. We did not have it in the inventory. We did not have it priced in our tariffs or our inventory prices. So this adds that 150 watt to comply with the county and then to recover our costs.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
And it moves. Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Councilman McCormick.
Yes. Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park Grant and Agreement. Can I entertain a motion?
I'll move it. I'll second.
City Manager Ivey.
Councilman McCormick, Mayor and Council, we recommend accepting this grant award for $200,000 from FERDAP. If you ever wonder what that means, it's in here, Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program. I know that helped a lot. But FERDAP is the easy way to say it. But we have this grant for the future Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park. It would be used, but not limited to, but used in some of the facilities that we're building, like the Boundless Playground, splash pad, feature, basketball and tennis courts, and open field soccer and special events. So, of course, $200,000 won't cover all that, but it can go to any one of those. It's not specific to that. And this is a 3-year grant with 1-year extension.
Any questions or comments from council?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Tab 8, purchase of park equipment.
I'll move it. Second.
Mr. Ivey.
Okay, Councilman McCormick, Mayor and Council. I just want to say something. There's a matching $200,000 goes with the FERDAP that we just talked about, but that's incorporated in through our impact fees, and I didn't mention that initially. Here we have it's staff's recommendation. The City Council authorized the purchase of shade structure canopies for the bleachers at Harrisfield and J.D. Red Park, and a water slide from Roby George Park. And the police department has been kind enough to approve through their forfeiture program the purchase of these items for Harrisfield and J.D. Red Park and Roby George Park through forfeiture funds. The actual items that are being purchased are piggybacked off of Jacksonville RFP. And I think I don't know, I think there's some...
I passed them.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Mr. McCormick, comment?
Any questions or concerns from council?
I just think this is great. Wait your turn. I think this is great that they're putting a slide at Ruby George Pool. I mean, that's going to be wonderful. The kids are going to really enjoy that. My kids went to summer camp over there, and they're going to enjoy that.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Sierra?
Thank you, Councilman McCormick. My concern when I saw this, I was very excited and happy, having received several sunburns from watching my own children play ball. You'll get there, John, when little John is playing. So this is a wonderful idea. My concern was, and Marlene did a wonderful job of getting us samples, which I passed out, was the aesthetics and making sure that what we were getting is something that matched the look that we have for Homestead and the feel that we have for Homestead, and I really appreciate you getting that out for us. My second concern was on maintenance of these items, specifically the slide, and I was informed that it does come with some kind of a warranty, but that, of course, Parks and Recs or general funds will be utilized for maintenance of these items. And those were my two concerns, but I'm very happy to see this coming around. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much, Councilman McCormick. Good job. Public Safety Committee, Councilman Nelson.
Children's Trust, Child Murder, Youth Violence Service Partnership Grant.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Councilman Nelson, Mayor and Council, it's the staff's recommendation and the Homestead Police Department's recommendation, the acceptance of this grant award. This is through the Children's Trust of Miami-Dade County, and we're in partnership with the Institute of for Child and Family, Children and Family, Family Health, Weed and Seed, Sweet Vine, and Florida City PD. Our portion of this is going to be monitored by SOS, and it will play for community policing and enforcement activities. The enforcement activities will deal with criminal activities, OT, investigating criminal activities related to gangs and the violence there. Community policing will do regular community policing programs. That's $18,000 each, plus benefits. There is a admin fee that comes with this for administering it, because we will administer. We also have a data collection requirement, which will be funded at $15,600. With the estimated benefits that come with the OT, it gets paid. It's close to $88,000 of the grant. So I don't know if I misspeak on any of that, but that's what I calculated, a 42% benefit, because it says OT plus benefits.
Mr. Nelson, if I may. All of these organizations that receive these fundings are just outstanding, all through SOS and Sweet Vine, just outstanding. And since we have Sandy here and we have Robin as well, I want to thank you, your department, for helping two families out. And all we do is pick up the phone when we know that there's someone in distress, in a violent situation in the home with children, and they jump into action very, very quickly, move the women out of the home, put them in a stable environment very quickly, move them out, and I don't think anybody really understands or grasps the effectiveness of this absolutely awesome program through SOS. So thank you very much for everything that you do, and all this funding is this is what makes it happen. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye. Tourism Committee, Councilwoman Sierra.
Can I entertain a motion for the ordinance?
I move it. I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Ivey.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance that will put into effect guidance on the operation and establishment of the Tourism Committee. There'll be at least 9, but no more than 15 members, as pointed out in the ordinance. The appointments by the mayor with approval by council. They'll serve 2-year terms, and they may come back for reappointment, and the mayor designates the chair for the Tourism Committee. So that's kind of what I saw, some of the meat and potatoes of it.
Ms. Sierra, thank you so much for, if I may, for bringing this forward. This is great to have an ordinance, and I know you're going to do a great job.
Thank you. Actually, this ordinance was drafted in 2004 and was brought to my attention as I wanted to formalize the committee a little more. The only thing I did to it was decrease the number of committee members. It had a much larger number, and I feel that 9 to 15 is a good number. And of course, we can always add advisory members if need be, if there's more people that are interested in helping us out. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
And the ayes carry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any, Mr. Nelson, any business for Committee of the Whole tonight?
None at this time, Mayor.
Ms. Sierra?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Lobos?
Yes. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I do have a laptop tonight instead of the paper version of our minutes. And I have to say, I know Vice Mayor Burgess brought it up, but actually Councilwoman Sierra, when she told me about it in Gainesville, the idea sounded good. I thought, well, of course, we get to not waste so much paper, and it's a little bit challenging trying to keep up with the tabs. I think that in the future, I'm going to continue with the laptop to reduce the paper that is photocopied here at City Hall, but I'd just like to recommend that a mouse be given to it, because as you know, working with the laptop mouse is just difficult, and if you just slide over a mouse, you jump to another section and you're not prepared to present on your own section. So this is good. It needs a little bit of work. The way the sheets are scanned in are sometimes not too friendly, so we can work on maybe a PDF version. I know that with 2007 you can type it on Word and then just convert it to a PDF file. So it's a little bit easier to read rather than having them scanned in. Maybe, if that can be worked. Is it PDF? It looks like it's just scanned in. Okay.
No, it is.
All right. But anyway, I'd like to encourage some of the other council members to use a laptop instead of the paper version of our paperwork. And then I also like to say, yesterday I met with the Finance Committee, and it was a pretty lengthy meeting. And one of the things that I saw was the impact fees and the money that had been designated to parks has changed. There's been some parks that have been put on hold, another park site that has been modified, and so I'd just like to recommend, Mayor Bell, to Councilman McCormick, I know it's your committee, but I'd like to recommend that perhaps you give us a list sometime in the near future as to the parks that are right now in the works. Perhaps give us a timeline as to how, where they are, whether they're still in the planning session or whether some parks have been put on hold because of budget reasons or for whatever number of reasons. And I think that it's just to kind of bring council up to date. I know that I saw that information yesterday because of the Finance Committee, but since parks is such an important topic to this council, I think that it's important for all of us to keep getting updated as things are happening. As staff recommends that certain parks be put on hold, that we be advised of that so that we're not out there telling the people, well, a park soon will be coming to your neighborhood knowing very well that it's been put on hold, and that will not come to be fulfilled. So if I can just recommend that to Parks and Recs. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Lobos. Councilman McCormick.
Real brief. I'm very excited about my committee assignment. I know Marlene and Omar yesterday, we had a very good discussion on some things that we're going to get done at some of the parks. So I'm very enthused about that. And also the Public Works Department, they're doing an outstanding job in the Southwest. I did a ride around. I usually do it at least 2 or 3 times a day to tell the truth, but I was riding around. I saw it's getting a lot better, but it has to be a continual effort and also very consistent. So I just want to say a good job to the Public Works Department. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Ms. Waldman?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to thank Lillian, which I don't think she's here tonight, but she answered the blasting question that I had in the news and notes today, and I'm sure, Julio, you had something to do with that as well. So I just wanted to say thank you that I've already passed that out to several people who had asked me about it, so now they have numbers that they can call, and I just want to appreciate the quick response. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I have something. In the neighbors section on Sunday, we see a lovely school teacher named Patricia Faircloth, and Melvin's girlfriend. And she is, with her second grade students, celebrate the Chinese New Year with the parade and other festivities at Air Base Elementary. And it is just a fabulous picture. And all of the children are all dressed up in authentic Chinese garb, so it's really, really beautiful. Also, on the cover you have First Lady Laura Bush and a Florida City Elementary School student. Well, I'm going to say it tonight. I'm going to say it again at the council meeting. I was the official greeter of the First Lady. So it was very, very exciting, and as she came out of her car, I was the first one that was to greet her and shake her hand, and so that was quite the privilege. And then we had one other woman next to me who designed one of the bulbs for the Blue Room in the White House in Everglades scene, and then this young man's principal and himself, the four of us. And it was interesting to have the First Lady thank me for coming out there, and I'm like thinking to myself, are you kidding? And thank me for greeting her. So it was wonderful. It was a wonderful thing to do, and don't worry, I will be mentioning that again at the council meeting. Yes. Marlene.
Councilman Lobos, members of council, I just wanted to address your concern because last night we did meet with Councilman McCormick, and one of the items that we did discuss was coming forward with a workshop to mayor and council to brief you on all the parks, where we are, where we're going, and what's going to happen in the future. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, while we're talking about workshops, I have 3 items I'm going to be bringing up at the council meeting under my business, but one of them is I would also like to conduct a workshop for the development community, for the commercial development community. And I want to have a workshop with development services staff, anybody on the council that would like to attend, as well as the development community, to allay any concerns that the city of Homestead is unfriendly towards commercial development, because we're not. So we want to be able to work with the community. So I'd like to have a workshop right here at council and invite all the commercial developers as well, and to allay their concerns and fears, see what are their issues, what are the concerns, how can we be, if we're perceived as, how can we make this a better experience for the commercial developers in the city of Homestead. So I would like to schedule a workshop, to that end, as well as, I will bring this up under my business, but I think too it would behoove us during the campaign we talked a lot about communication with our communities and our areas. And the thing that we should do is have town hall meetings, and we've all discussed the town hall meetings. They're not a new idea. We've done them before. But what I would like to do is I would like each person who represents an area, like the Northwest, the Keys Gate, Waterstone, Villages of Homestead, the Southwest, for them to coordinate their own town hall meeting, and we can have them wherever they live. Let's say in Keys Gate, maybe it's the Northgate Club, the Waterstone Association Clubhouse, and the Northwest might be the Senior Citizen Center. So we could coordinate those town hall meetings. Those of you that represent your area, you would be in charge of that particular meeting and the scheduling of it, but all of council would attend. So, but you would be the ones that would spearhead that and be in charge of that.
Mayor Bill, I have a question, and I forget who I asked. As far as town hall meetings, so we are all will be present there then?
I think it's a good idea, because let's just say that you are spearheading the Villages of Homestead town hall meeting, and you're going to be the person in charge. You're going to be asking, answering their questions. But what if they have a question for somebody from Parks and Recreation? What if they have a question for somebody about public safety? Then you want those chairs there, so maybe that they could address something that maybe that you couldn't, or so I think it might be helpful. Now, it doesn't mean all council members have to attend, but I think it would be nice to have all councilmen invited.
Would some staff go with us as well?
Yeah, we'll make them come. They would be delighted to come. So it's just a thought. We can certainly discuss it, but I think it would be really good, and we've discussed this. Like I said, this is not a new idea. We've done town hall meetings before. I just thought it would be really neat if we had them in each area, with you guys handling your area and having everybody attend, and the staff, especially the manager staff as well. Yes, Ms. Waldman.
Since I'm still at large, then I'll just wait till all of you do yours, and then I'll just have one for the leftovers if anybody didn't get to go
Sure.
to the individual. So I'll just have one large, at large.
And I'll just show up to all y'all's.
Mayor Bell, I'd like to just request executive sessions on 2 cases. The reliable substation versus City of Homestead arbitration case, which deals with the building of the substation, and the second one, which is we tried to get to the other couple of times, which is the City of Homestead versus Donald J. Carter Sr., and those will be scheduled by the clerk.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No further business to attend to. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.